You already have a picture of a narcissist, loud, arrogant, obsessed with themselves, impossible to miss. Hold on to that picture, because that picture is exactly why the real ones walk straight past you. Here's the problem with the checklist you've been handed. It's a list of someone showing off. But plenty of people who do real damage aren't showing off at all. Some of them look shy. Some of them look like the kindest person at the table. For years, pop psychology has taught us to hunt for arrogance. And that stereotype only catches part of the pattern. The signs that hold up in the research are quieter and stranger, and they're not really about how the person acts when everyone loves them. So this isn't a video about labeling the jerk in your life. It's about what the science actually says, 4 signs that survive the research and 2 things you've been told that don't. Because the goal isn't to win an argument by calling someone a narcissist, it's to see clearly. And stay to the end, because the single biggest reason smart people miss a narcissist has almost nothing to do with the narcissist. It's about what charm does to your judgment, and I'll show you the one thing that beats it before we're done. 4 research-backed signs of a narcissist, the ones the checklist gets wrong. We'll hold each one up to the studies, then throw out 2 myths on the way. Let's start with the biggest mistake you're making. Sign 1, there are 2 presentations, and you're watching the wrong one. When you picture a narcissist, you picture the grandiose type. Loud, dominant, hungry for the spotlight. That one's real, and it can absolutely do harm. But researchers describe a second presentation, and it's the one that slips through every checklist. It's called vulnerable or covert narcissism. Same self-focus at the core, but instead of commanding the room, this one is hypersensitive, quietly resentful, easily wounded. They're not bragging about being the best, they're stung that you didn't notice they were. The classic descriptions of narcissism only caught the loud one, because the loud one is easy to see. The covert one flies under the same radar you were trained to trust, which is exactly why the checklist keeps failing. One honest caution, a shy or anxious person is not secretly a narcissist. Vulnerability alone isn't the sign. It's vulnerability wrapped around that same bottomless need to be special. Which brings us to what actually separates the two. Sign 2. Watch for rivalry, not the showing off. In 2013, a team led by the psychologist Mitya Bak mapped grandiose narcissism onto 2 separate engines. And this is the most useful thing in the whole video. The first engine is admiration, charm, confidence, self-promotion, everything they do to be adored. Here's the trap. On its own, admiration-seeking can look almost identical to healthy confidence. It's magnetic. It's why they're the best person at the party. It is not, by itself, the danger sign. The second engine is rivalry, devaluing other people, needing to win, turning cold or cutting the moment someone threatens their status. Bak's research found it's this engine, rivalry, that predicts the conflict, the broken relationships, the wreckage. Not the charm is the bait. The rivalry is the hook. And you can watch those 2 engines pull apart over time. Researchers followed people who just met, week after week, and tracked who stayed liked. The pattern was sharp. High admiration predicted being liked at first, pure charm, but that edge faded fast. High rivalry predicted the opposite, growing dislike week after week. Charm won the first impression, rivalry predicted losing the room. So stop grading people on how impressive they are, start watching what happens to the people around them. Do they lift others, or do they quietly need everyone else to be a little smaller? That's the axis that matters. Sign 3. Watch for the mask slip. This one's less a rule than a place to look, because the mask holds beautifully while they're being admired. What's worth noticing is what happens the instant they're not. In a landmark 1998 study, Brad Bushman and Roy Baumeister let people take a small insult, a stranger criticizing their work, and then measured how aggressively they lashed back. The result rewrote a piece of common sense. It wasn't low self-esteem that predicted who exploded. Self-esteem barely mattered. It was narcissism. The people highest in narcissism reacted to that one small blow to their image with the biggest spike in aggression. Their sense of self was inflated and brittle at the same time. So here's where to look, and it's quiet. You don't confront anyone. You just notice what happens the moment they stop being the most admired person in the room. A mild disagreement, attention moving to someone else, a joke at their expense. Most people let it go. Every so often you'll meet someone for whom a pinprick to the ego seems to land like a knife. A reaction that big to something that's small tells you more than any amount of confidence does. Watch the recovery from a scratch, not the polish. Sign 4, watch for entitlement, not vanity. We're trained to spot the mirror gazer, the person in love with their own reflection. But vanity is the decoy, the facet that shows up in the actual diagnostic criteria and does the quiet damage, is entitlement. Entitlement is the quiet belief that the rules bend for them, that they deserve the exception, the better seat, your time, your effort, and that the people who serve it up don't really count. It's less, look at me, and more, you owe me. And there's a neat piece of evidence that the vanity really is a decoy. A 2015 review of over 400,000 people looked at where narcissism scores differ between groups. The gap clustered in entitlement and was basically flat for pure exhibitionism, the showing off. At least in that comparison, the flashy part was the least distinguishing piece. Read that carefully, because it's the useful part. The vanity we're taught to watch for is the least distinguishing thing. Entitlement is the part that quietly costs the people around them. And narcissism shows up across every kind of person. The stereotype of the obvious arrogant man is part of why the quiet, entitled ones get a free pass. Which is why the oldest piece of folk wisdom is still a good illustration of it. Don't read too much into how they treat you. You're the person they're trying to win. Notice how they treat the waiter, the assistant, the person who can't do a single thing for them. That's what entitlement looks like with no one to impress.
Who they ignore.
Sign 4, down. And those are the 4 the research backs. 2 presentations, rivalry over charm, the reaction to a scratch, and entitlement over vanity. Before you take those 4 out into the world, 2 things you've almost certainly been told that the science does not back up. Myth 1, they're just secretly insecure. It's all a mask for low self-esteem. It's a comforting story, and for the loud, grandiose type, the research doesn't really support it. When Jennifer Bosson's team reviewed the evidence for that hidden well of low self-esteem, they mostly didn't find it. Their self-regard is often genuinely high. The honest version is subtler. It's not that they secretly hate themselves, it's that their self-regard can be genuinely high and still stay reactive to threat, which is exactly why a small scratch from sign 3 lands so hard. Secretly insecure fits the vulnerable presentation far better than the grandiose one. Don't excuse the pattern by assuming there's a frightened child under every one of them. Myth 2. Everyone's a narcissist now. It's an epidemic. You've seen the headlines, the 1 in 6 claims. Here's the truth. It's genuinely contested. The famous narcissism is rising finding was challenged by larger, later analyses, and the most recent work spanning decades shows no real increase, if anything, a slight decline. And calling everyone a narcissist isn't just wrong. It's the thing that makes the real ones harder to see. When the word means everybody, it means nobody. The uncommon, genuine pattern gets lost in the noise. Which brings us to the part I most want you to hold on to. Let me step out of the research for a second. Right at the start, I said the real reason smart people miss a narcissist isn't the narcissist, it's charm. Here's the piece the evidence backs. Grandiose narcissists make fantastic first impressions. Confident, funny, magnetic, likable within minutes of meeting them. And likable is the shortcut your brain trusts. You're not being naive, everyone runs it. It's just that charm sails straight past the 4 things that actually matter. So the fix was never a better gut feeling. It's the opposite. Quietly set the sparkle aside and watch the boring parts instead. Now, back to the point. And one thing these signs are not for. They're not a label to win a fight or a diagnosis to hand someone you're angry at. Narcissism, the actual disorder, is uncommon, and only a professional can name it. What you can do is notice a pattern and decide how much of your life to hand to it. Because the signs were never really about catching a villain. They're about protecting your own time and trust from someone who treats both as things they're owed. That's a decision you can make quietly without ever saying the word. So here's the reframe to carry out with you. Spotting a narcissist was never about a vibe, or arrogance, or a mirror. It's 4 quiet things. There are 2 presentations and you watch the wrong one. The tell is rivalry, not charm. One place to look is how they take a scratch, and the sign is entitlement, not vanity. Set the sparkle aside, watch the boring parts. One honest question to take with you: the last time you were sure someone was so genuine, what were you actually reading? Their character or just their charm? If this changed the picture in your head, subscribe. It genuinely helps. Next time, the tactic these people use to make you doubt your own memory, how gaslighting works and how to catch it early. See you there.